I can still remember my parents threatening to skin me alive if they ever catch me with any boy those days when I was a teenager. And it doesn't matter if the boy is a neighbor or a family friend or whatever. Sometimes I even I collected better beating while and now that I think about it in retrospect, I've realized that they were probably afraid that I would get pregnant as a teenager because if I'm being honest, teenage pregnancy was very rampant in my community when we were growing up, and we knew a lot of teenagers who were related to me and related to us who got pregnant. So I think my parents were terrified. It just reminds me of a clip I saw from Pastor Iren a few days ago when he was sharing about how experience can come with paranoia, how our parents used to beat us for some of the silliest for some of the silliest reasons and we didn't understand. But when you've experienced some of the pain, some of the fears that they had to pass through, at some point you begin to get why they were paranoid about some things. Yes, but that being said, however, I honestly wish someone sat me down and explained to me in relatable terms why I didn't need to have a boyfriend as a teenager. I wish someone told me where and how to channel all the energy and raging hormones I was beginning to have as an adolescent. I honestly wish someone did. And that is what today's episode is going to be about. I'm going to be giving you 3 reasons why, based on my own experience now, I think you don't need a boyfriend as a teenager and maybe even as a young adult too. I'll also be telling you 3 things you should be doing instead. Just come with me, work with me. I promise this is going to be very exciting. This might probably be longer than our regular 3 to 4 minutes video, but it's going to be totally worth your while. I promise. One, to be honest, you don't really know who you are yet, kid. Very few people are lucky. 1% maybe of the world are lucky to know develop a strong sense of identity early in life, no doubt. But if you're being honest, it's just a very few, and most people are not that lucky. Why do you need to be romantically involved with someone when you barely even know yourself? Think about it. This is the best time. This is the best time for you to get to learn to know yourself, develop a strong sense of identity. Every little thing that piques your interest, this is the time to explore them. Explore music, explore art, explore science, explore swimming, traveling, learn new languages, explore different forms of all manner of sports. Whatever it is that piques your interest, check it out. This is the best time, and doing this as well, it's also the best chance you get to learn about God, to learn more about God, learn more about your purpose, learn more about why you're here, and the role you have to play here on earth. This is the best time to do it, and trust me, as you get older, you may not get as much chance to do it as much as you have as a teenager and as a young person. 2, being romantically involved with someone as a teenager or earlier than you should is going to blind your sense of judgment. It's going to distract you from what truly matters, and it's probably going to lead to certain mistakes and regrets. So I'm going to tell you a story. I'm not trying to fit everybody's life into my own personal experience, but I mean that's what this podcast series is for. It's all about sharing my own personal experiences and the things I wish I did better. So I remember in my, I think, first semester 300 level when I graduated. By the way, I was a teenager while I was in university, right? And I had this boy. He ended the relationship, and he ended his relationship during our exam period. I can remember vividly. I had an exam the next day, literally, and this guy broke up the relationship, and I was heartbroken. Now, one thing that happens when you're a teenager, right? I feel like it's worse because you don't know what to do with your emotions. You don't know how to channel it. You're literally spiraling out of control as a teenager when something like that happens, and it was the very first time I was having that sort of experience. It was crazy. I couldn't read, I couldn't concentrate, and I was already an excellent student, right? And so I was so scared that I was going to make an F in that course. I remember I couldn't sleep all through the night. I was terrified. I was both hot and afraid of failing that course. The next morning I ran to my friend's lodge. I was crying. I said, I don't know what to do. I have an exam. I can't even read. I haven't even read. And my friend later called him and he was angry. How can you even do this real exam? And he came back, apologized, rewrote the exam and all. But that incident affected not just that exam, but the rest of my courses that semester. And I remember my course advisor called me to her office the very next day when the results were out. And she was really disappointed. Why? Because my result was so good. After my first semester one, she had to call me up in front of the whole class to commend how good my result was compared to everybody else in the class. And I had maintained that record first semester, second semester, and all of a sudden my results were beginning to look funny. So she called me and she was really worried. What's the problem? Is everything okay? Are you struggling with anything? Of course, now I couldn't tell her, my boyfriend, with my heart. But she said something that has remained with me ever since. She said, you may not decide what door through which people get into your life, but you have the power to ask them out, you know. And eventually I ended that relationship, but the mark is still there because my results, it never went back to what it used to be. I didn't do badly, but I know every single day when I think about it, I know that I could have done better. I know this result could have turned out better. So this is one of the reasons why I say it blinds your sense of judgment. I mean, why would I even anyway, whatever. So, and another very interesting thing is that as you grow older and as you learn more about yourself, your interests change, your tastes evolve. Imagine giving up so much for someone or for a relationship that is completely unnecessary for your life in the first place. At the end of the day, 5-10 years down the line, you look at it and you're like, why was I even with this person? What was wrong with me? And then you've sacrificed so much. Now, depending on what you had to give up or what you lost, the regrets can stay with you forever. I know people who had to do an abortion for their so-called boyfriends, and I know people who had to use their school fees to give to the guy to do all manner of things. When girls are young, you do guys too, young boys too. I know guys that had their hearts broken, left the girls they were dating as teenagers, had to leave them for older men and things like that. You just end up hurting yourself, for no reason. And I don't think it's worth it. The third and the final reason I'm going to give you for today is that you can put a limit on the amount of time you have to invest in other relationships. You can put a limit to how far you can go with other friendships. During your teenage years or your early adult years, those are some of the best time to build the longest lasting relationships that will help you the most in your life. That's the time you should be networking the most. That's the time you should be meeting all manner of people in all manner of places and just exploring relationships, right? Because most of the people you meet, especially people your age that you meet during that time, are still growing, are still building stuff, are still also learning just like you. Imagine growing with these people, learning with them. When all of you eventually make it, or maybe when one of you makes it before the other, it's easier for you to reconnect because you people know each other from way back, right? It's easier to reconnect to people you know from way back when you literally had nothing, right? In quotes, than when somebody else has made it and now you want to be friends with the person. The person might be looking at you, what do you want from me? But when you don't really want anything from them and you're just friends, you go for camps and all these children and youth camp, You go for language classes, you learn swimming together, you do sports, you just make friends, study together, dream together. When you just explore these things as a teenager, it just makes life a lot better. Imagine you imagine as a young girl, for instance, sorry, there's a boy right in your compound who is very good with playing the piano or the keyboard or something, and you really have interest in learning it, and he's available to teach you for free as a friend or as a neighbor. And then one boyfriend somewhere is telling you, why are you talking to him? The jealousy and all those very funny things that happen. And then because you don't want to get your boyfriend upset, I'm just saying this because they are really happen, you decide to let go of a relationship that could have taught you something that would have benefited you in the future. I mean, all these things wouldn't be necessary if you are not romantically involved with anybody in the first place. Finally, you might say, well, I can do it all. I can do these things you've said, and I can still be romantically involved with someone. I'm really in love with this person. Good for you. Go for it. If you know me well, I'm not someone who would even compel people to do what I just. The most important thing is that I've said my part, right? And in the future, you're not going to be like me, wishing someone explained to you why you shouldn't do those things. So whatever works for you is totally fine. I'm going to end this with something Umoni Oboli said. Umoni Oboli got married, I think, at 19 or thereabouts, and she said something. She said she's not going to advise anybody to do what she did because she knows she was just lucky to have married the man she married. And not everybody is that lucky. Not everybody is that lucky. But I know girls who got married at 17, at 18 to supposedly well-doing men. And at 22, 23, they begin to find out, develop, some sense of identity, purpose, and then they look at their husbands and there's no alignment. There's no alignment, and most times those girls, at least the ones I know, they can't even leave the marriage because their entire life have been built around that man. They have children and they can't just leave. They don't even have any skill, they don't have money, they don't have education like that. The man is just completely in control of their lives. Again, I've said my part and I hope this helps. I hope, in fact, do with this information whatever, please, until I come your way again. Bye.